Will you be purchasing?
Dr. Treachery, call 217.
All. Will always.
No, I not.
I'm
Really? Okay, that's it.
I'm
Really?
Really? See ya. Take a... Really? Done. Huh? What's that?
Jensen? Oh, Christ.
Brent Radford?
In the flesh. For now.
How do you know my name? What happened here?
Answers for favors. There's a trauma kit I keep somewhere around here. Find it.
You need a doctor. I'll get help.
No. No time. They could be back. Any minute. Find the kit quickly. If you want answers.
I'll be back.
Put that away. Unless you're gonna finish me off. Did you find the kit? Oh, sweet Jesus. The pain. Morphine.
This should help with the pain. Now tell me what's going on.
Those sons of bitches. I should have seen it coming. I knew from the moment Sarif got spooked that this case would come back and bite me in the ass.
Sarif. So you're the investigator he hired to run a background check on me?
Detective. Or I was, until... Christ, fuck it. Hurts enough just trying to breathe. Point is, the goons that did this to me, professionals. I think your boss pissed off the wrong people, trying to dig up your dirt.
What people? What did you find?
No time to go into details. My storage unit, the sons of bitches, they're headed there now. Sarif had me uncover a ton of shit on you. Stuff even you don't know. Your parents, your real parents. The tests, the fire. What are you, Jensen? Some kind of freak?
Focus, Radford.
I mothballed the case in storage. It's in an alley. Behind the bank. Your files are there. But Michelle knows. Michelle knows more. You need to stop. You need to stop them. Fuck. You, robot. This is all your fault. Give me another shot. Morphine. Fuck.
I'm leaving, but I'll call in an ambulance. You'll be okay.
No. Those fucking animals. I can't move anything. I was turning around, pulling my gun when the first bullet hit me. The second one, they fucking paralyzed me.
I'm sure it's not as bad as you think. It might be a reaction to the morphine.
I know what morphine does. I also know what a 9mm round fired at less than 10 meters does to the thoracic vertebrae on impact.
You need a doctor. They can fix that.
I ain't turning into no freak. Even if I could afford the surgery, the augments, I'd rather die than be half a machine. And I sure as hell ain't gonna live the rest of my life in a wheelchair, shitting in a goddamn diaper.
Radford.
Listen, I know there's still a few more morphine shots. Another 2. Should do the trick. Please, this is as close as I'm gonna get to begging you. Don't leave me like this. You owe me that much.
Why do you hate augmentation so much?
Because it ain't right. You can't go changing the way things are. You can't replace the real thing with an imitation. It ain't right. It ain't natural.
It can save your life.
No, you lose more than what gets left behind on the chopping block. You should know this by now.
Neither is suicide.
Don't you fucking judge me, robot. You don't know what I've been through. Come on, this should be easy for you. I know Sarah didn't put blades in those arms just so you could trim the hedges.
I don't think you really want to die, Radford. I think you're just scared. I was scared too. I didn't ask for any of this, just like you didn't ask for a bullet in the gut. But you can't blame me, or Sarif, or technology for what's happening here.
I wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for you and your damn past. I never should have taken the job, but I needed the work, the money. Even if I wanted to, I can't afford the fucking augmentation surgery. And I can't live like a cripple for the rest of my life.
Living through adversity is what makes us human. It's not flesh and blood or even bone that defines us. I might be more machine than flesh, but I'm still alive. I'm still human.
You got heart for a robot, I'll give you that. Tell you what, I'll play along with this little after-school special you got going on here. I'll get through this, but not because of this lovey-dovey bullshit charade. I'll live for the truth, for revenge. Whoever hired those suits, I'm going after those sons of bitches. I don't care how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah. And Jensen, I don't know how bad you think your wounds were, but your boss, your friend Sarif, they butchered you. Went too far with the operation. You were an experiment, a test. But he's the one that made you a weapon. Almost makes me feel bad for you. Almost.
Access granted. Access granted.
Pritchard, I located Radford. He was attacked by men in suits. Private security, Secret Service types. I'm going after them.
What about Radford? Did you get anything out of him?
He's in pretty bad shape. You need to call it in, get an ambulance to his apartment stat.
Got it. And Jensen, don't get yourself killed, okay?
Oh, Francis. I didn't know you cared.
Don't flatter yourself. I care about the security of this company. You getting yourself killed compromises that. So don't be stupid.
Yeah, so here's one of the examples where one of the things I was psyched about in the story is a lot of times in games you have to cut late, and that kind of ruins your whole story. But we actually did a pretty good job of keeping things intact. However, we did have to cut several locations.
Yeah.
This part, going into the Purity First sewers, they were originally supposed to be Utah. There was supposed to be an entire center that you go
Huge
to
compound,
in
yeah.
Utah, and it was quite
That
big.
was a nice one too.
But
It was
we had-
a rehab for
People,
yeah.
for people that got their augmentations removed. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think it ended up being way, way too big, and then we had to decide suddenly to cut it. And I think, Frank, you were the one who came up with the solution. Where could we put the rehabilitation center?
Yeah, I went to my lead level designer and I said, you know, I know that we need to cut some stuff. Humanity First seems to be the best solution. So I have an apartment I'm not really using in the apartment in the Detroit City Hub. So maybe you could place all the objective inside. I could tweak it, do some fun with it. And
It's because what we need to say is that the rehab center was hiding a Purity First terrorist training
So, yes,
training
training
camp.
Yeah, in the basement. Or
And
whatever.
we lost the Humanity First rehab center, but what you proposed was to keep the Purity First kind of HQ.
exactly.
And we lost the Humanity Front Center. Remember, we had to rename it.
Exactly.
So we reuse the sewer system, the modules that we use. I reuse one of the apartment, and then we play around with the trap. I always wanted to have some traps in the game, and that's why I ended up with my own ideas of having Zeke before encountering Zeke.
A dead body.
Yeah, a dead body with a mine behind underneath it.
And you know that the first time I played your map, I got cut because I was like, "Oh, dead body, I'm going to loot," and pooh, it blew.
I did it just for you, just for you, Jeff.
Well, you had
It
to
was
move
really
it, right?
surprising.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Or picked up something.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's one of the examples where one of the things I always liked about in the story is a lot of times in games you have to cut late, and that kind of ruins your whole story. But we actually did a pretty good job of keeping things intact. However, we did have to cut several locations.
Yeah.
This part, going into the Purity First sewers, they were originally supposed to be Utah. There was supposed to be an entire center that you go
Huge
to
compound.
in Utah, and it was quite
That was
big.
a nice one too.
But
It was
we
a
had-
rehab for ancient.
People-
Yeah.
for people that got their augmentations removed. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think it ended up being way, way too big, and then we had to decide suddenly to cut it. And I think, Frank, you were the one who came up with the solution. Where could we put the rehabilitation center?
Yeah, I went to my lead level designer and I said, I know that we need to cut some stuff. Humanity First seems to be the best solution. So I have an apartment I'm not really using in the apartment in the Detroit City Hub. So maybe you could place all the objective inside. I could tweak it, do some fun with it. And
It's because what we need to say is that the rehab center was hiding a Purity First terrorist training,
So, yes,
training
training
camp.
Yeah, in the basement. Or
And
whatever.
we lost the Humanity First. Rehab center, but what you proposed was to keep the Purity First kind of HQ.
exactly.
And we lost the Humanity Front Center. Remember, we
Yeah.
had to rename it.
Exactly.
So we reuse the sewer system, the modules that we use. I reuse one of the apartment, and then we play around with the trap. I always wanted to have some traps in the game, and that's why I ended up with my own ideas of having Zeke before encountering Zeke.
A dead body.
Yeah, a dead body with a mine behind underneath it.
And you know that the first time I played your map, I got cut because I was like, "Oh, dead body, I'm going to loot," and pooh, it blew.
I did it just for you, Jeff.
But you had
It
to
was
move
really
it, right?
surprising.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Or picked up something.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Pritchard, looks like Sandoval's got a secret bunker. I'm gonna flush him out.
Let's hope he's still there.
well, that's one of the really few secret passage, secret hidden places we have in the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that on that one. Since the beginning of the game, we focused so much on the main pillars of the game, how to support the ingredients that we have in the game and all that. Eventually, once you're pretty late in the production, you feel very at ease with your mechanics, and you always, as a level designer, you always try to find twists on
That's
how
when
to
you
reuse.
start kind of having fun. with
Exactly.
more
Every time you
things
see an ingredient, sometimes there's always a twist just to make it more interesting and whatnot. So that's why I wanted to have this big, huge wall. Originally, it was a book, the classic bookcase, but we didn't do that. So we just used the wall and just opened it up with the lighting effect. It was very, very cool.
But it's something that when we look at the game, we felt that it's not that we should have done tons more, but there
But
should have
more.
been more. Yeah.
Not tons, but more.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but like I said, because we're very late in production, we get used to all those things. Then trying to figure out how the other level designers or the level team can actually add those. It's very late in production, so those guys cannot do. Me and my level artist were my level artist Sébastien Pavio was the perfect guy, and he really helped me on that. Yeah.
Someone over there.
And this is why I urge every member of my staff, every man and woman dedicated to the true mission of the Humanity Front, to do the same. Isaias, if you're watching this, I beg you, do not allow misplaced anger to destroy everything we have struggled to achieve.
it's over. He knows I can't come back from that.
Everybody knows, Sandoval. You can't hide from what you've done.
What I've done, Mr. Jensen. I spent years patching people back together from augmentation botch jobs and systemic organ rejection brought on by implants. And now, because of Bill's betrayal, I'll never practice medicine again.
You really want to help someone? Tell me where Sarif's scientists are.
I wish I could, Mr. Jensen. But my involvement ended right after I failed to remove their GPLs.
You failed?
Turns out, my surgical skills weren't good enough to bypass David Sarif's insurance policy. So for all I know, those little implants are broadcasting right now. On a frequency so low your network specialist wouldn't think to look for it.
You changed the frequencies.
You have your answers, Mr. Jensen. And I've lost all of mine. The courts may think I have much to atone for, but my court will be a higher one.
How about I take that gun with me when I go?
You got everything you came for. Please, just leave.
Believe it or not, I'd rather you didn't kill yourself.
That's because you have no idea what tortures I've endured. The guilt, the shame. I was told the scientists would be used to find a peaceful solution to the augmentation crisis. Instead, I was involved in kidnapping and murder. My life ended that night. It's time for me to go.
Think about it. Are you really in such a hurry to face that higher court of yours?
At least there are no lies before God. Did you see that abominable press conference? William Taggart all but accused me of terrorism. He claimed that all the violence committed in the name of our cause was the result of my influence.
So stay alive long enough to tell him your side of the story.
He already knows it isn't true. I trusted that man. For years I gave him loyal service, and he betrayed me. He sacrificed my freedom and good name to save the reputation of his organization. It's no use fighting him. He'll just spin it again. At least if I die, he'll never be able to use me again.
Look, I understand your situation better than you think. I quit the force because I couldn't stand what the people in charge were doing to it. But they went to the press and told them I'd been the problem the whole time. Power always sacrifices its subordinates to save itself. But you have my word. You can get through this.
I appreciate your faith in me, Mr. Jensen. And remembering that others have gone through similar events can be helpful. But is it enough? I made it my life's work to try and help people. But Humanity Front was losing people to the so-called enhancement industry every day. Those scientists were my last chance to stop the insanity, and I failed. If anything, my actions helped the pro-augmentation camp.
Tell me, what lesson are you teaching your kids by killing yourself? It's bad enough they're gonna find out you're a criminal, but you want them to be quitters too? Kill yourself now, and you'll be telling them it's okay to take the easy way out. I know you don't want that. So put the gun down. Show them by your example that you want them to grow up to be fighters.
You son of a bitch! Using a man's family against him! I deserve to die, you understand? I've earned it! God damn! But I can't let them repeat my mistakes. I can't. Take the gun. For their sake.
Pritchard, get this. The GPLs are still transmitting. Sandoval switched them to a lower frequency.
But they could be broadcasting anywhere in the world. I don't have the type of equipment we'll need to find them.
It's our only lead, Pritchard. You have to do something.
I know. Listen, the riot's still blocking the street entrance. Head back to your apartment and Malik will fly you over. Maybe by the time you get here, I'll have figured out something.
Well, depending on how you play now, you add the conversation system with Isis, Sandoval, or he just attack you. But if you had experienced the one where he commits suicide, I always hated the fact that once it happened, Jensen doesn't recognize the fact, and he just goes with Pritchard. Hey, Pritchard, I found out this and that.
I think,
and like it's totally like no.
yeah, this
He
this
doesn't
is I
acknowledge
think
the
one
fact
of,
that he just committed suicide.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's.
I think this is one of those examples of, you're working on something for a long, long time, and the script itself goes through many iterations. And originally, we had planned that this was all happening inside a completely different location in Utah, the rehabilitation center. And so what had happened script-wise is we had written a first pass of the main dialogues and the main briefings that you get. And so we hadn't known how it was going to play out. And so we had this briefing that we figured triggered as soon as, Jensen left that room and got somewhere else.
Made sense on paper.
And it made sense on paper. It totally made sense on paper. And it was just one of those things that as production keeps going, you don't catch it until it's all put back together.
Yeah, it was implemented so late that once we were able to really play it the way it should be played, we figured out it was missing. And I went to my producer to say, we need to fix that. But we were past beta. And it was like too late now. We cannot. It's too risky because we were in debug phase and everything. So we couldn't.
David's always been pretty. David, the producer, has always been
supported,
really open-minded with us. Like he's let you do some pretty big stuff.
So
like
when he says no,
but
it's
that time it was like no way.
Yeah. When he says no, it's a real no.
Access granted. Access granted. Access granted.
Yes, lovely gentleman. He still has my photos of Adam when he was a baby. Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear more about the boy in those photographs.
Such a polite and handsome young man. It'll be my pleasure. The boy in the photo, Adam. Jensen was never really his last name, you know. We only gave that to him after the fire.
Fire?
At White Helix Lab. That's where Adam's real parents worked. At least I think they were his parents. All those babies, the gene therapy they went through, but Adam was special.
Special? How?
He survived what they did to those babies. He was one of a kind. Then, when we heard they were going to use him to inoculate the next batch of infants...
Wait, what were they doing to the babies?
Wish I could remember. I was just part of a nursing staff. But Adam's parents, they started the fire. Yes, I remember that. They asked me to hide Adam. Then they started the fire. Poor things. They never got out in time.
So they started a fire at White Helix Labs. And you hid me.
No, not you, dear. Adam Jensen. Or at least I think that was his name. Well, I gave him to the Jensens to raise. They were a lovely couple.
Miss Walters, my Adam's real parents, who were they?
I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
You've done enough for him, Mrs. Walters. I'm sure he'd want you to keep the money.
So nice of you. Like Mr. Radford and Adam. You know, they called him a genetic marvel. He was ahead of his time. They was hoping to tear out so much from his DNA, but we stopped him. Oh, yes, we did.
Pritchard, I need you to assign a temporary security detail to an apartment on Brooklyn Court until I can figure out a more permanent solution. The woman's name is Walters, Michelle Walters.
Security detail? What the hell, Jensen? Who is this woman?
She's family, but she's vulnerable. I'll explain later. Just do this for me, please. And not a word to Sarif. Can I trust you on this, Pritchard?
Christ, Jensen. All right. I'll do it. But there better be a damn good reason for this.
There is. I'll fill you in next time I see you. But right now I need to get back to work. And Pritchard, thanks.
Yeah.
So with this second city up, I mean the second visit to Detroit was our way that we had to cut some city hubs that we have planned and everything, but we wanted to maintain a good pace between the hubs, the compounds, and everything. And to make that pace happening, we had to reuse some of the existing maps.
Yeah, and also production-wise, I mean, I already designed a whole section of the city with a freeway with a bridge crossing over it, and there was apartments on the other side. And whatnot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but it was cut because also production-wise, we could not just do that.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, we just trim it all the way to just the convention center itself.
yeah, and we were debating, we need this highway because it would feel that the city's bigger again, and you feel that it's alive. Yeah. That was pretty fun, yeah.
Thousands of angry rioters took to the streets in several cities this evening after viewing controversial satellite footage uncovered by Picus.
Yeah, so the glitch, that
Yeah, the
lovely
glitch.
little thing that happens, it was such an important part of the story.
Actually, it
And-
was to build up the recall of the chip.
Yes,
the
it was.
clinic
It
and then
really,
Chateau.
it really was, and we had all these plans about how we wanted it to first be not noticeable in the game, and you'd think that it was actually something you had happened on your own computer and stuff, and but it didn't quite work out the
Well,
way
it's
we were
funny
hoping.
when you bring it up that way. I'll tell you, my first time I came across it was going up the convention center stairs, and there was nothing really on screen, or maybe just a second where the camera shakes, and the sound like kind of cuts out a bit and everything, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I
It
was
feels
asking,
more like a bug, eh?
Yeah, and I was asking Jess, the guy on my team with me, and he was like, no, it's supposed to be there. There's an envelope there. It's for the glitch. And I was like, really? And I'm like, that's the glitch. And I was like, went off into an explosion of rage. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
I love
I
Steve and
remember
his
you came to
explosions of
me.
rage.
You
Yeah.
came to me like,
Have you
well,
seen this? You know what's going on? Are you aware of this? I'm all mad. Because for me, I'm just so offended because I know how important it's supposed to be in the story. And then I'm like, this is crap. Like, so a bit of, barking and, asking for a bit of love from people. And then we did get a bit more of the glitch working. And then I was able to at least get a bit of sound in, a bit of HUD reaction. So that helped. And I think it never became as big as we wanted it to be.
No.
And the closest we came was there's a scene when he comes out of, I think, the Alice Garden, and he's in an alley, and you see the glitch.
Yeah.
And there's a guy who falls off the top, and a girl. And then later on, there's another one in the Cavern of the Harvesters downstairs. There's guys. And believe me, technically, it was very hard to get it working. A simple thing like that, I busted my balls.
But the thing is that we were over our heads with a lot of features in the game, and we were always coming back. We need to have the glitch in. We need to have the glitch in. But yes, it's not priority number one because we have any other things to do, and eventually, like, okay, we have 5 minutes to do the glitch, and then you saw it, and then you took over.
And, well, sometimes we all do our part, and this time I was just like, I wanted it to see it better than that because I knew in the story it played a much bigger role, and I think in hindsight we probably would have given it more attention, but like you said, in a game like this where there's 100 million things to do and 100 million features, it's tough.
So to finish it, you're my glitch hero.
The glitch hero. Kind of like a jukebox hero, but different.
Shit. Body. Nothing yet. What happened? This is the spot.
So we're here on the roof of Adam Jensen's apartment, and one of the things I really wanted when we landed there is that I wanted the players to be able to have a very great view of the city and everything, and it turned out that it was not as easy to do as what I would have expected, because we would have to render the streets just below us and everything, and that was all cheated. And also with the riot going around, and we had to figure out in which direction the riot was, and if it was in the direction where we could see, then it would be hard to pull off. So we had to make sure that the visible part of the city was on the other side. And
we also wanted to have all those choppers, those cop choppers flying by with the lights and the smoke and stuff like that coming in. And I just realized recently, obviously we know that the choppers, we never managed to put them in, but just recently I saw that there is smoke. There are plumes of smoke.
But it's very subtle.
But it's so, I didn't even know. And it's so subtle. So, because these are things that we could have done, but I guess we just ran out of time or something.
Nice detective work, Jensen. You ready to return to HQ?
Yeah. Let's hope Pritchard's found that frequency.
You said it. I got a message for you, Jensen, from Pritchard. He says he's not in the office.
Great. So what exactly am I supposed to do?
I don't know. He said you should check in with the boss.
Don't worry, boss. Things are under control.
So here's the VTOL, or the VTOL, Adam's chopper, or Farida's chopper. This is definitely one of the pieces of hardware that I really, really prefer in the game. I mean, one of my favorite ones. I think it's a perfect mix of really, really almost hardcore sci-fi design, yet with a lot of credibility to it, where you can easily imagine this is where things would go, you know, in 20 or 30 years from now. I just really love it. I've always wanted to make a little, you know, model of it, you know, kind of like a scratch build with
it looks really good.
It looks really good. Just buying pieces of model kits from airplanes and stuff like that, and just like from the pieces actually build that. And yeah, it has a lot of character, and that's it. I really like it.
And speaking of character, since the VTOL is also very much associated with Farida,
Farida
Malik, Farida was actually a character who was not originally thought to be a very important character in the game. I think it took a long time before we actually gave her a name. In fact, at first we were calling her Farina, but then everyone here was saying, Mary, that means wheat in French.
Flour.
And it's flour in French.
Fahin.
It can't be that
Fahin.
and everything. So,
Yeah.
but she really wasn't intended to be this big character at all in the game. And then as we continued developing the game and writing the scripts and starting to add more player choice into dialogues, she ended up becoming, and it makes sense when you think about it, because she's one of your constant companions. So she ended up coming within the development process itself, developing into a very, very big character. And I think our original backstory for her was she was supposed to be of Muslim descent, and we originally wanted to have her use Arabic language and
yeah.
swear words and everything.
We
but,
tried it.
But then when we ended up casting the actress as 100% American.
Well, because here's the thing, what I remember is, and you had a strong affection for the character because it was based on a character in Battlestar Galactica. I think that, you were saying as a
Starbucks.
reference.
A little bit.
It was
like
Starbucks.
As a
Starbucks,
reference.
Yeah, as a reference, yeah.
So we had that, but then she's got to be Arabic. So we had found the actress and we loved what she brought, and she had that sort of tough, kind of tomboyish sort of way about her, and we really loved everything about it. But every time we would have dialogue where she'd have to swear in Arabic to kind of give her that, where she comes from, it just always sounded really forced. It just never worked. Like she would nail the pronunciation, but it's just, it's not natural.
We pretty much figured the first time that she did it, that was like, okay, we're dropping all that right now,
So
and we're just going with the American.
Yeah, Mary quickly adapted it. We kept the character. We kept her origins. We just removed the swearing from the Arabic language and kept her North American, and it worked well.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, the thing on her face above her lip, actually in the game it looks like a beauty mark, but it's supposed to be a monroe piercing, and it just didn't really come out all that well in the game. So everybody, there's a lot of fan art about Farida, and they put a beauty mark, but it's supposed to be a little piercing. Really.
No, you know the truth.
Now you know the truth.
Piercing.
Say that again?
I always thought it was a piercing.
Cool. So we were too, thinking it was a piercing.
So by now, depending on how much time you spend in the Serif offices, David Serif contacted you a couple of times to tell you to go to the manufacturing plant.
Adam!
Yeah, exactly. And that thing, it was in the game for a while, with the dialogue, depending on how much time you were spending there or not. It was popping several times with different kind of variation in the conversation. Things are going to go much worse and everything. And I was reviewing the build in November 1992, in November 2010, and we were almost beta and everything. And I realized, oh my God, it's just smoke and mirror, and we don't carry it through. There's no real consequences.
No real consequence, exactly.
And it's a game about that, and I was, oh my God.
I think that's one of the best things in the game, really.
Yeah, we're missing the point.
Yeah.
And the next morning, I come back in the office, and I go to David and Fussy, our producer, and say, man, we did a huge mistake, and now we're going in our first instance with the journalists, and we're totally fucked. Basically, we need to have a real consequence to that thing, and said we need to re-record lines with.
And we basically need to kill the hostages
we
if
need
you don't
to kill
get
the
there
hostages,
in time.
exactly. We need to re-record lines, new lines for police officers, for David Serifs, for Adam Jensen, for all those beautiful people. And he approved it, and I was so happy because and then it was the quest for.
Yeah, and what was crazy about it was, first of all, we were so close to almost having to ship the game that we'd released a lot of our actors. We'd already done all the recording, and Serif himself. So we had to go through and we had to kind of indicate which actors would have to be brought back, how many lines they'd have, and then we had to find Steve Shellen.
Yeah, we found him somewhere on the. Somewhere on a beach in Morocco doing something.
He was on vacation.
Someone.
He was on vacation.
Yeah, he was.
He'd been
was
wrapped.
Out there. Yeah, well, he was done. And I mean, anybody who knows Steve Shellen, very talented actor, but very much a free spirit.
How long it took you to get to him? To trace him back?
It wasn't that bad, actually, because I think he did leave information with his agent saying if anybody needs me. And so it was actually quite surprisingly quick, but then it was just the logistics of okay, I got to find a studio in Morocco that this guy can go to, and I have no way of specking out what their facility's like, what's it going to sound like, but somehow through the magic of technology and that, we had our voice director here, we had Mary here, and we hooked up via Source Connect, which is a software that allows you to link up in real time and listen in the studio session. So we were able to do it that way. And I guess he showed up in Bermuda shorts with coconuts in hand, and he did it, and we got through it.
Yeah, and it was just a few days before the deadline, and Steve came to me, he's like, well, hopefully it's going to work and the sound,
quality,
the quality is going to be there. Otherwise, we might not be able to use it, and we were super stressed. But it was a fun ride.
Yeah, and it worked out because that's the first thing everyone comments when they started playing the game was, "Oh my God, I the hostages are dead already.
Yeah.
I didn't know that would happen."
Yeah, it's one of the few games that really tell you something. And
Well, it teaches you early on that there's going to be
consequences,
to how you play.
and that really encapsulates what a Deus Ex game is all about. It's this thing that you don't even know that is really happening or whatever, depending on what you do. And some people would arrive there and see them dead, and they didn't pay attention to what David was saying, and they wouldn't know why, and that's what it's all about. Really.
And it almost didn't happen.
So actually now we see a guard in the front of the camera. It's actually one of the first concept art we did as we were researching for the cyber renaissance.
This design goes back to a really long time, like probably something like September or October 2007, and before story, before everything. And I think that's like the only place we ended up figuring out that we could fit them in there.
Yeah, because we thought they were really cool, and then we were like, you know what, they don't fit in the story, they don't fit in the world we've created per se, but we were like, Yudaru will have some guards with him and stuff like that, and we were like, hey, we thought about those guys, and let's bring
and
them
they
back.
do fit. They do
Yeah,
fit
no, and it
visually,
works really well because they also kind of help establish the presence of Darrow, which was something that we were struggling with a lot in the game. We knew that we wanted to feature him more. We do put him down, you know, you can go to one of the pillars and you can hear about Hugh Darrow, but you don't know who he is. You see newspaper articles with him. But this scene needed to communicate so much about Darrow, kind of make him this mysterious figure and make him kind of, well, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't know. And I think those bodyguards kind of help to add to that sense of, wow, this is a powerful guy. So in the end, I think it works.
And the cinematic director wanted to put him close to the fireplace so we could see the flames, and therefore we were alluding to the fact that he was bringing hell on earth eventually. So
dark stuff.
Yeah.
Frank tracked down one of the GPLs. Only one? Is it? Sevchenko's. But Adam, he had to call in a favor of the DOD to do it.
Meaning the conspirators probably know I'm coming.
Boss said we're heading back to Hangshaw?
Pritchard tracks Sevchenko's GPL signal. If he's alive, there's a chance the rest of them are too.
That's a pretty big leap, Jensen.
We've been making big leaps for a while now.
Whatever you say. You ready to get going?
No time like the present. Let's get going.
Then hop in.
So yeah, this cutscene has been quite a challenging one to produce. Adam Jensen goes back to Hengsha for the second time, but this time around he's ambushed by the bell tower guards, since he already did quite a lot of mess so far in the game. And at this point, like, we were trying to give a sense of not give a
dismissal
but
shot. Sorry.
to give a justification for the VTOL to crash, but without using an explosive. So we went with this kind of MP grenade, and getting the FX was quite challenging. And you might not notice, but the layout of the map where the plane crashes, it's reverse compared to where you start in the game, but nobody sees it.
Malik, we've got company.
I know, but the bird took some damage. Gonna need to patch it up before I can go.
I'll stay and cover you.
Negative. You need to get away from here and find Dr. Sachetto. I'll be fine.
Don't be a sitting duck.
Maybe not. But this is your best chance to slip by them.
Unnoticed, and you know it. So get out of here, Jensen.
Jensen? The bird's fixed and I'm taking off. Now get on with the damned mission. Thanks, bye boy.
I remember very much when Frida dies, having to do this whole thing. It was quite a process to get it. It was really, you play the whole game and Frida is with you and she's your companion. And Jensen and Malik have this relationship. They only call each other by their last names throughout, very professional. And this was a scene that would really strike, and it's the one time he actually uses her name. If and you only get this scene if you haven't managed to save her, if you actually flee. And the other thing that I remember about it was that the person who...
Jensen, I've been monitoring comm activity around Hengsha. Bell Tower's looking for you. Hard.
I know. They ambushed us, Pritchard. Forced us to make an emergency landing. Malik barely got away in time.
But they're supposed to be...
The good guys?
Just give them a wide berth, Jensen. If they recognize you, they'll shoot.
I remember very much when Frida dies, having to do this whole thing. It was quite a process to get it. It was really, you play the whole game and Frida is with you and she's your companion. And Jensen and Malik have this relationship. They only call each other by their last names throughout, very professional. And this was a scene that would really strike, and it's the one time he actually uses her name. If and you only get this scene if you haven't managed to save her, if you actually flee. And the other thing that I remember about it was that the person who kills her, who shoots her, it depends on some of your earlier choices. There is the TYM head of security, Nahari Khan, who you could have seen in the eavesdropping scene in Tong's office if he had done that.
In the hive.
In the hive. And then if you didn't do it there, then it would be potentially he was leading the charge of Bell Tower soldiers, and you could have killed him at that point in the capsule hotel. And if you didn't kill him then, he might end up inside Tai Young medical offices and patrolling. And if you didn't kill him then, he was the one who actually comes out and kills her. But if you didn't, if you managed to kill him, it was a different guard. And I remember most players probably don't even know who Nahari Khan is. But for many of the members on the team, he was such an important person.
Character.
we created this whole thing for ourselves,
Yes.
You know, in that event, one of my friends called me the moment Malik died, pissed off at me.
Yeah.
Like, why did you kill her? Like,
this became a huge
thing.
And the all the fan art of Adam and Farida
the whole relationship,
together,
everything.
People it became stronger than Adam and Megan. Like people think that the ones who should have been in love are these two, and when she dies, and I remember like the countless meetings we had for how are we going to see her being killed?
Yes.
How far do we want to bring the camera? Is it going to be a cutscene? Is it going to be in game?
Yeah.
Far, close? It just
that was hard, tough decisions.